I've lost 180 pounds with a combination of carnivore, keto, and counting calories. I reached my goal in November of 2022, and over the past year and a half, I've noticed the scale went up about 8 pounds. Let's experiment with carnivore and counting calories and see what improvements I can make. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. I just used up a jar of tallow and to cook something that was very messy. So I am going to attempt to resalvage my tallow. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour it into here and add water to it. And I'll be right back. You can see it's real messy. I use pork panko. So now I'm going to see if I can get this purified. So then that way I can reuse it and not have all the chunks in it. So we're going to experiment and see about doing that. Okay, I'm going to add, I'm going to put a couple jars of water in here. That's 2 jars of water. I'm going to put 1 more jar of water and I'll explain. Okay, so the way this is going to work is the fat is going to separate and go to the top. And the water is going to stay on the bottom. And along with that, typically, for me, the water will, like the particles and stuff will be down in the water and I will lose. You can already see there's lots of water down the bottom. And so I've actually saved lard this way before too. But anyway, so it's just going to separate and I'll show you how it looks when we separate it. By the way, this is a process that takes quite a while. Like this is probably going to take, this is a 3-day weekend, so this will probably take all this weekend. So what I'm going to do is take this bowl and set it in the refrigerator to kind of help speed up the separating process. And you do want it to be a slanted bowl because you're going to push on one side later. So you need it, I like it to be in a bowl where it kind of is slanted so I can rock it. But anyway, I'll show you that after it separates and hardens. You need the top layer to be hard. So this has been in the refrigerator for a little while. And it's actually not quite as hard as I typically like it. But I'll tell you what happened. And I needed to use a smaller dish because I like it better when the fat is thicker. Let me show you. If you look here, you see all that stuff was gathering in the bottom of there. And so the top looks better. The top looks pretty white. But whenever I'm doing this, I really want the top part to be thicker because right now it's so thin it's going to break. So we are going to pull this out. And then next time, for our next step, we're going to use the smaller dish. I just want to see how it looks. But anyway, so what I do next is I go ahead and work the, I pull the fat off. I'm going to go ahead and break it. I'm going to pull the fat out. See how that side has some impurities on it? Well, that's why we want to run it again. And I'll show you when I pour this bowl out just how much impurities we pulled out of that already. So now I actually have something in the oven right now. And so I only want this to melt. I don't need this to cook or bake or anything like that. I just need this to melt. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this in the oven, probably about 5-7 minutes. And then whenever I get it back out, we'll see how much liquid that is. I think we're probably going to end up using this bowl right here. So, but let me pop this in the oven and I'll set a timer and then I'll show you how this works. I've got my water running because I want it to get really hot. But you can see down in here the particles that are in there that we pulled out of that grease. Like I said, I have done this before. I want hot water because there is still some remnants of fat, of the tallow down in this bowl. And so I want it to soften up so I can wash it and get it all down the drain. So anyway, so I'm going to wash this bowl and I'll see you after the tallow has melted again. Okay, so again, we just wanted it to melt. We're not cooking it. You could do it at 200 degrees. You can do it at 300 degrees. But the point is you're trying to melt the tallow. So mine just melted. So now I'm going to pour it into this bowl. And I need to add water to it. So I'm just going to add water to this dish. And I want to get it to where that fat rises up. So just a second. I want to add about equal to, if not a little bit more of water. Cancel timer. So I'm just hanging it and letting it dribble. Now I'm actually going to wipe this out before I stick it in my dishwasher. Okay, so now the hope is that more of the solids will seep to the bottom and then the top will separate. I've seen people use salt in theirs. I have not used salt, I don't think. But but you can see how now the white part, or the yellow at the top, that's the tallow. And that's the part, you see the particles floating around in there. That's the part we wanted thicker, and that's why we went for a smaller bowl. So now I'm going to sit this in the refrigerator and let this work on separating and get that tallow hard. Now, I have never gotten it like perfectly clean, but I don't care. I just want to get as much of that sediment out of there as possible, so that way I can continue to use it for cooking and it won't taste like pork rinds or pork cutlets. So I don't know where this is in the process. I figured I'd pull it out. Hey, that's good. When I can do this, that's when I know I like it. So I'm going to get a paper plate. Give me just a second. So as it gets better and better, it's going to get cleaner and cleaner each time you process it. So see, it's thicker, and look, there's not as much goop on the bottom of it. So I'm going to take this knife and kind of scrape some of that off. And we're just getting those impurities out of it. You could take a sharper knife and scrape off a little more of it. I'm not too worried about. Like, I don't have to get all of it out. But, I'll use the sharper side. So, here we go. Look how much cleaner that's getting. Let's take a look at this one. I've got my oven preheating right now. So, I'm going to use the sharper side. I have my oven preheating right now. And it's not going to take all of the impurities out, but look how much cleaner that is than when we started. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trash this. Any excess fat I can avoid throwing in my sink, I'm happy with. I am going to go on and melt this down, and I'm going to repeat the process I did. So I'll melt this down, and then I'll put it in here and add some more water. Again, look how that water is getting more clean and more clean. So each time you do this step, you're making your tallow more cleaner and more cleaner. More cleaner. Yeah, look how educated I sound. You're making it more clean and more clean each time you do this process. So, but I'm going to do this one more time. I'll melt this down and put it in here, and we'll take a look at it tomorrow and see what we think. Okay, so we're going to do another round, and this will probably be the last round that I'm going to do. You can see it's getting wider and wider each time I do this process. So you can do this with your ground beef, if you save that fat and then do this process a couple times. I mean, it's beef fat that you can use. So, but like I said, this is why I like a rounded bowl, because when you push, it kind of slides up the other side. But just be careful, because there's water under there, and you don't want it to splash out and get you all yucky. All right, come on now. Give me a second. There we go. Now, if you saw the other ones, then you saw that there was more stuff at the bottom. I'm going to take this glove off and do something. Just a second here. Okay, so I'm going to take this knife that I did earlier, that I used the last time. I'm just kind of giving a couple scrapes across it. It's just shaving off some of the excess impurities that's on the bottom. Like I said, some people, and I honestly don't know the logic behind it, but they will put salt inside this bowl. I don't know the logic, but now, like I said, I'm gonna do this one more time. I'm gonna melt this, and then I'll run it through again. Let me throw this part away. This is the fat that was on the fork or on that knife, and you can see there's much less stuff down in the bottom of there. There's some fat floating in there, but there's not a bunch of particles like there was the first couple times. That's very clear water. So we are drawing all those impurities out of that tallow. So like I said, I'm going to go ahead and I got the oven set at 350. I'm going to pop this in there for, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes till it melts, and I'll show you next. So I want you to see, it's yellow, but that's how melted tallow looks. But you see how clear that looks? I'm trying to get a good angle here. Can you see how clear that is? There's no particles in there. It does smell a little bit like, like it's been, like something has been cooked in it. But I'm okay with that. So I'm not going to run it through again. I'm going to go ahead and let it be done. I'm going to put it in this container. Because this is something that's more manageable in my refrigerator. Hang on. So I'm going to let it sit in here, and when it's cooled off, I'll show you how it looks. I could run it through one more time, but you saw how clean and how white that was. So I think that's perfectly fine. Like I said, it just sits in my refrigerator. I don't leave it out on the counter, so I don't have to worry about, about it going bad or anything like that. I'm looking for the lid for this little container. Give me just a second. Okay, so now I'm just going to let it sit right here on this heating pad until it cools. I can go on and wash this. And like I said, after this is done, there's no big chunks or particles in it. So I will show you this tallow. I'm going to put it in the refrigerator, and I'll show you in a few hours after it hardens up. It's going to be pretty and white, and I'll just use this as my tallow. And again, you can do this with the fat if you cook 73% and you don't eat the fat that you've cooked off your ground beef. You can do this with almost any kind of fat. But this is, like I said, I think this might have been off of some suet, but I'm not 100% sure because I've done it with so many different things. I can't guarantee that this was suet to begin with. So anyway, all right, I'll show you after it's cooled off. Okay, so now it's hardened up. It is not perfectly white, but that's because, I used it to cook something else. So there is going to be a hint of flavor of something else in there. Again, I use this to fry some pork cutlets with pork rinds as the batter. So there is going to still be a slight flavor of that. But in general, I don't care. So now I'll keep this in my refrigerator. And whenever I want to, cook some eggs or pan fry something, that's what I'll use. And this will stay in my refrigerator. And that's kind of funny. See that line? It's like it's dehydrated a little bit or something. Maybe it shrinks when it gets cold. Anyway, I'm going to pop this in my refrigerator, and I'll use this tallow to cook. And that's how I get my tallow cleaned up. Again, it's not perfectly clean. It's not perfectly white like fresh tallow. But I can use this over and over. Okay, let me give you context. This is fresh, clean tallow that has never been used. This would have come, like I said, either from my ground beef that was cooked with no seasonings and then turned into this after doing the process that I did, or this was from suet. I do not know. I honestly don't know. But I want you to see the difference in the coloring. So you could tell this one's the pure one, never used before, and this is the one that I used to cook that pork in. So, you can, even through the glass, you can tell there's a difference in color. So there, come on, fella. I just want you to see the difference in between the two. So, but still, like I said, I didn't mean I'm going to reuse this over and over. What I meant is I will put this in my refrigerator, and when I want to fry something, I'll scoop out a scoop, a tablespoon, and fry what I'm going to fry. So if I want to make steaks tomorrow or fry burgers or whatever I want to do, I will continue to use this. There was, like I said, it's got a pork rind, and I used it to cook some pork in, but by purifying it enough as I did, this is going to be fine. So anyway, but that's the difference. You can see the difference in the color. But I'll still use this over here. You'll be seeing me pull this container out over the next, I don't know, 6, 8 months until it runs out.